This video forms a second part of a two-part series which is looking at how you can use the Snappy process workflow authoring tools to create workflows for your users. In the first part, we looked at how you can use the tools to enable users to carry out and execute processes. In this section, we're going to look at how you can use the rules to structure and organize the workflow so that the user has the best possible experience and the information that they extract from the customers is of the highest quality. In the previous video, we created 4 questions. A radio button, a text field which allows the user to respond with a free text entry, a select field which allows a user to choose one of a number of options, and finally a checkbox type which allows the user to select multiple answers. So what we're going to do now is explore how we can use the rules within the Snappy sales process system to create the most effective and the most efficient workflow. As our starting point, we're going to look at stages first of all. Stages are a very useful structure which helps us organize and plan our workflows. For clarification purposes, I've reduced the stages that previously existed in this workflow to one called customer understanding. One of the main ways of improving the user experience and in creating efficiency is to make sure that users only are asked questions that are relevant. Stages are really useful in this aspect because related questions can be grouped together. I'm going to go ahead now and create another stage which is called information. The purpose of the information stage in this example workflow is to hold a series of text fields which will offer an explanation to the user of the consequences of the choices they have made during the process. As an example, I've created a single text field, the purpose of which is to tell the user that his potential customer is actually not a good choice for the business. So the challenge I face is creating a link between this answer and this explanation. To create my stage rule, I select the stage I wish to work in and then select the tab Stage Rules. As we can see, there are no rules associated with this stage. To create a rule, I press the green button. So we are now in the rule editor. The first thing you can notice is I've got a question if and then a blank space. When I click on the space, I'm presented with a list of fields that make up this stage. As it's the first field to do with company size I'm interested in, I'm going to click on the top option. Having chosen a question, I'm now going to move on and select the appropriate conditional operator. Snappy offers a choice of 3 conditional operators. In most circumstances, it's simplest to use is. In other words, it contains this value. We now select the desired answer. In the stage rules, there are 2 potential outcomes. We can either skip to another stage or we can hide another stage. In other words, we can select in or select out batches of questions. In this case, we're skipping to the information stage. To recap, what I've done in this case, I've said if the user supplies the answer that there are 0 to 5 employees in this company, the information stage is revealed. Let's go ahead and preview what we've done. Okay, so I'm going to select the first option, 0 to 5. You will see a small gold triangle has appeared. This means that we can skip to another stage, and the user now has been guided to the relevant explanation. As I go through clicking on other buttons, you'll notice that the golden triangle has disappeared. The white triangle is still available. If I click on this, I skip to the information stage. Unfortunately, I can still see the same message, which is not the desired outcome. Fortunately, there's a simple solution to this. All we do is we go to the information stage, go into the stage edit tab, and check the box to hide the stage. I return to preview mode and you can see that the white triangle has now gone. If I choose the first option, the golden triangle will appear again and the workflow is functioning as intended. Having successfully created our stage rule, it's time to move on and create a rule for the field. We start this off by clicking on the field. Now move across and switch to the Field Rule tab. Click on the Add Rule button to access the Field Rule Editor. This is the point where we enter the answer that's going to trigger the rule condition. The answer again is going to be 0 to 5 staff, so let's select that one. Having chosen an answer, we now need to determine what action takes place. Just as in the stage editor, there are 2 types of action that can take place. You can either show a question or you can hide one. The logic that's operating here is that if we know from the company size they're too small for us to want to do business with, then there is no point in asking them any more questions. So we're going to start hiding a sequence of questions. So I will continue with my creating and editing of rules 2 and 3. The consequence being, if a user selects answer 1 to question 1, then questions 2, 3 and 4 are omitted from his workflow. Having created my rules, it's now time to test them. Unfortunately, we can do this in the preview mode. The preview editor has pre-selected the first option. You'll notice two consequences of this. The first is that there are no other questions currently available, and secondly, that the golden triangle to move on to the next stage exists. Let's test our rules. I'm going to now click on the second option, 5 to 20 staff. You can just see that the second question comes into view. As I scroll down the screen, the proof is there. And I can double check this. If I click again on the first option, you'll see the rest of the questions disappear and the golden triangle becomes available. So now I'm comfortable with the results of my testing in preview mode. Unfortunately, that's not the real thing. So what we need now to prove our workflow is to test it as an actual working process. In order to use the workflow, I need to change it from its current editor mode into active mode. The disadvantage with active mode is that there's very limited editing you can do once you've changed the mode. So if you discover any glitches during your testing process, you would need to start the whole thing again. So what I always do is make a copy. So here you can see that Snappy has created an identical copy of my workflow. So it doesn't matter too much. Now, if we find there's an error that we need to adjust, we've got a copy to go back to work with. Okay, so I can safely go ahead and make this workflow active. Before I do so, I just want to point out to you another feature that's available in Snappy. If you can see, we have an option to export. What this does is it allows you to export a JSON version of the file. This can be re-imported into any other Snappy workflow process editor, and the process can be used. So if you're working on behalf of a number of companies, you can easily move processes between separate companies. Let's now make our workflow active so we are in a position to properly test it. Let's start the test. The first thing I need to do is to leave the authoring mode and to enter the CRM mode. I'm doing this test on Snappy CRM. If you looked at it on Snappy for Salesforce, you would see a pretty similar experience. The first thing I need to do is to pick an opportunity. Embedded within the opportunity record, you can see the workflow process and the 4 questions that I've created. I'm going to check to see if the work I've done on question 1 is successful. Yeah, it's looking good so far. The golden triangle has appeared and the other questions have been hidden. Clicking on the golden triangle reveals the information stage, which tells the user that this company is too small to be a sensible opportunity. We will set our company size for between 50 and 100 people. Test the text editing field by entering the president's name. Use the select field to establish the commercial relationship with the company. And click in the checkboxes to specify the products and services that we've supplied so far. I'd like to draw your attention to the sales data portion of the screen. This shows you how good the opportunity is. If you can look, we've got 2 factors there, sales score and sales progress, which are directly influenced by the sales process. As I change some of the answers, you'll notice that these scores also change. The purpose of this video was to show you how you can use the Snappy rules to create effective and efficient workflows. In this exercise, we've covered topics such as how the stages can help you with efficient operations. We've looked at how you can either hide or show rules and stages. We've looked at how you can take a process and how it can have a status. It can be editable or it can be active. In other words, you can use it within the context of your operations. And we've also looked how scoring can directly and dynamically impact your view of an opportunity. I hope you've enjoyed looking at this video. If you do have any other questions, please get in touch with us through snappy.io. We'd love to hear from you.